In the Husky Huddle, we gather round. Coach Uconn and Steve Cully were never found. They talk about the team with such zeal, strategies and plays.
When we lose in OT, we have to have some fiesta.
Of cheers and shouts, Uconn's got spirit, we'll never doubt. Coaches share their thoughts, it's quite the treat. In this lively huddle, we always meet. Huskies, we stand tall. With Coach Schumann and Steve Cully we call.
We got to add Joe in there. We got to add him in. We got to redo it.
Break it down in the Husky Huddle. Our passion won.
Oh, well, that's perfect music to start the show. Husky Huddle. We are here. And with me, as always, it's go time. And he probably blitzed more in a Pop Warner football game that I've ever seen in my life. Coach Schumann.
Hello.
And the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best himself, who knew the Delaware game better than me, Joe D'Ambrosia. Joe.
Good morning, boys. How are we today?
I should have listened to you.
You said the same thing.
Yeah.
You guys both did,
the same thing. You get players, it was a trap game, and they fell right through the trap.
100%. I was not expecting a shootout with Delaware. Now,
You said 41-17. You weren't even expecting a close game.
No, I wasn't, because they played Delaware State the first game, and I saw some of that. And I know that's a rivalry game, but that was close, and Delaware State is not very good. And Colorado, they played better, but they only scored 7 points. But you were right about the quarterback.
But I watched the first half of Colorado versus Delaware. I watched it.
Yes.
And Colorado is obviously more talented. And he went to his third string quarterback because they were struggling against Delaware. Now, I don't think Sanders really knows what to do with quarterbacks that aren't his son. So I think that's part of the issue for him. That's a whole different conversation. But the fact that they were able to hang with them, period, the first half, I thought, when obviously Colorado has a lot of,
they're
4 and 5, whatever they got, 4-star guys on their team, just talent-wise. And so that I thought could be an issue, which obviously Joe agreed with. And just the history of Delaware Uconn, man. The history of where they get their players from, which Joe obviously
said, the quarterback is from Bosco.
Different level of athletic ability and the second-tier guys. The
100%.
Second-tier guys that don't go to the big-time schools are higher level than, just from a regionalization standpoint. Where you might get for some of UConn's regionalized second-tier guys, and that was going to be an issue.
Well, Joe pointed it out, 2 things. The quarterback from Delaware, Nick Minucci, was unbelievable.
Well, don't forget, he's not even their number one.
I know.
One got hurt against Delaware State.
Right. And you also pointed out, which I think is 100% accurate, when you have a dual threat running quarterback in the red zone, that is pretty much unstoppable. He scored 4 rushing touchdowns they ran that power ride play where he gives the jet, or if he keeps it and he runs power. It was unbelievable. We could not stop that. And that's why Joe said, put Evers in, have a red zone package. It changes the entire dynamic. Your defense now has to account for everything. They had RPOs.
But Steve, let me stop you for a second. This game has nothing to do with the Uconn offense.
I think it has a little to do.
They scored 41 points. What
Yeah.
do you want?
There were pockets of errors because Joe's a gunslinger and he's throwing it 100 miles an hour, whether you're 5 feet in front of him or 50 yards down the field. But But as far as the offense, I mean, they did move up and down the field for the most part.
They did. I didn't like it. It's the same thing that happened against Syracuse. You're in overtime. You need 2 yards. Hand it off twice. When we went to the big package and scored that last touchdown, when you go big with 3 tight ends in the game, now you have some deception because we don't have a running quarterback. That's when the play action works. That's why it was so wide open. I think when you have Cam Edwards, the offensive line, and the running backs that we do, if we can't get 2 yards, we don't deserve to be out there.
There's one other issue. So remember, I get some insider information. I'm not going to say where I get it from, but I get some really good insider information. So there is an issue. So we talked, I think, on the last episode. I don't know. Was Joe with us on Friday or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So we talked about that where Evers, right? Why isn't Evers? So Evers
went in the game when Figano got hurt.
My understanding, he's very checked out.
Oh, well, I mean,
because he got beat out. Okay. And unlike Fagano, who kind of, when he got beat out last year, kind of was still vested. He's not that Evers isn't a great kid, but mentally he's not, I don't think, in the same stratosphere as he was when he was.
I wonder if they even
put it like that. And honestly, I think that's on the coaches too, to a certain extent. We're paying him, and the coaches should have figured out how to get packages for him right away when they knew they were going to go Fagano. So even though he was Fagano was 1, he felt like he was 1B, not 2. And I think 100%. You could have done that. I think it's at a school like Uconn where Fagano is in his 8th year and he's 40 years old. He's got that adult experience that.
Well, no, I mean he's got
Evers doesn't have yet. You could have put him in a situation where he could have been a contributor.
Well, Joe, you saw it when they put Tucker McDonald in for the one play. They tried to throw a wide receiver screen. He throws it into the ground. Like, come on.
And look, you can't use that. That's the second week in a row that they've tried to use that play. You can't use that play every week. Come on. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and Skylar Bell, that's not his skill set. He's not a wide receiver screen guy. He's Randy Moss. You throw it up to him. He's your home run.
He's not that big though. He's
tall.
Skylar Bell, how tall is he?
I think he's like 6'2", but I'll check.
I don't think so.
I don't think he's that
he's
tall.
5'10", 5'11", I thought.
Yeah.
I'll check. No, I don't think he's that small.
Steve, come on.
No,
Romello is bigger.
Oh,
you watch the games?
I watched it. Yes, I watched it. I'm looking right now.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
He can't.
You're right.
He's listed at 6 feet. He's listed at 6
feet. You're right. Okay, but
he's probably 5'11" and a half.
His skill set is not like a slot receiver where he's gonna make plays in space. He's your home run hitter. He's your guy that gets downfield and gets open. The other guys are better for the wide receiver screens.
Well, no, but here's the point. Here's the thing.
You're right. The play, yes.
You never see a school run the same trick play 2 weeks in a row.
Correct.
Never.
Yeah.
You never see that.
Can't. You're right. You can't.
But we're focusing on the offense, and right. I know we're going to get around to talking about the one big decision at the end of that last drive in the fourth quarter, that ultimately cost them the game, whether people want to agree with it or not. That cost them the football game. But the offense had 521 yards. They moved the ball up and down the field.
You're right.
You got a as you said, a Lou Groza-nominee place kicker who you have all the faith in the world in. This one all belongs on the defense. I mean, they weren't playing the Joe Montana 49ers or the Tom Brady Patriots here. They were playing the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens.
They made them look like
first
it.
home game in FBS, and they got gashed for 512 yards. The run defense was non-existent.
Atrocious.
Non-existent. The kid Silver looked like Walter Payton, for Christ's sake.
He was up. He was every time his boys scored a touchdown. Silver. It was crazy.
I know he busted a few long runs, but that's the issue that I had against Syracuse too. We just send pressure. Now we held Syracuse to 6 points up until 5 minutes, but up front we are not as big as we were last year, and I think that we blitz at the absolute wrong times. When Delaware gets the ball back at the end of the game, we had them 4th and 9. And they get a pass interference call, which I thought was touchy. Great. Then we had them 3rd and long again. We send 6. We're playing man. It's going to cover 0. And that's the one they threw deep down the sideline and completed that got them close to field goal range. Why? Drop 8, rush 3, make the quarter. You have a running quarterback. You blitz and nobody gets home. It's a waste to send 6 if nobody gets there and you're playing man behind it. We don't have the secondary to play man.
Let me ask you this. Do we know how well these linebackers can cover? Because you say send 3 and drop 8. You don't know how good these linebackers are.
Byram is good. He had a good game. Tyquan King has been a disappointment. I agree. Overall, I agree. Yes. Defense overall.
It's pretty obvious that's why they're that's why to me that they're trying to blitz and trying to put pressure on the quarterback, but it didn't work because the front line, it's not the same front as you said, Steve, and as Coach has said, it's not the same front line as last year. It's a different skill set. But having said that, at some point, the defensive backs have to make a play.
Yes.
I agree. And, we definitely missed Jelani Stafford, Jaden McDonald at the linebacker position.
But we go to the transfer portal. Here's the thing with the transfer portal, okay? This is the slippery slope that we're going to get into if we don't fix this. We go to the transfer portal for all these guys.
60 guys.
Half of them don't work out the way we want them to. We got nobody behind them to develop. We got to keep going back into the transfer portal.
They're 1-year rentals. It's tough. Yeah, the majority of the transfers that came in are either 1-year guys, 2-year guys tops. But I think in that situation, I was always taught, and I told you this when I coached, the philosophy was if you blitz, great. I loved it. I told our guys to get excited when we blitzed and anyone blitzed us because we had answers for it. I said, get salivating because we're going to make a huge play. Now, the other side, executing 10 plays, make them move the field because you can't execute 10 plays on air. That was our defensive coach's philosophy. When you blitz, you give them the opportunity to make a big play. When you keep everything in front of you and make them drive 10 or 12 plays, I think you have a better chance. Now, coaches have different philosophies, but at the end of the game, with a minute left, they had one timeout. We had them stop twice, and they got out of it. I would not have sent the house. I would have played coverage. Now, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it and say that, but it's philosophically a difference just because they move the ball up and down the field when you blitz them.
Right. No, I get it. And look, it's part of the fun. One of the things I like best about football, about watching, about covering it, is you do this. You can Monday morning quarterback. You can't say this might have been better or that might have been better. And it's not being, although we will be in a minute, I think here, necessarily critical of coaches.
Oh, I'm critical of coaches.
Well, I know you are. But I also say, and you sent me the message last night to get ready for this, I understand that some of the schemes, some of the calls were bad, but at some point the players have to execute. I mean, as Shu said, you bring guys in, and this is where the whole transfer portal. You don't develop a program. You just basically buy and bring players in. And if you're bringing players in for a year, then as the Dramatics once said, what you see is what you get. You can't, you can't go to the waiver wire in the middle of the season. So you got to make adjustments, or you got to coach the kids up better. But this is what you have, and if your starters aren't performing, look, let's be honest. You're bringing second stringers in on the transfer portal. That's like their third and fourth stringers at the big schools. So maybe they can't play.
In their third schools that they transferred to.
There's one other thing defensively that they did a poor job with, which we talked about at the beginning, the power read play, okay, which is where Minucci was taking it right up. I mean, it's a staple, in high school in New Jersey.
One of my favorite plays.
It's a great play, and we run that 30 front, okay. You got
outnumbered.
two guys wrapping around, and they're down blocking, okay. We are in trouble because first of all, on the down block side of it, you already have some of the linemen because there's not as many defensive linemen to stop it.
No, they
already have guys on backers just from the down block. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you got two guys wrapping around. Forget it. I mean, you're
outnumbered.
Huge problem. You're outnumbered. So the quarterback has a 2-yard run before anyone makes contact. And Minucci, I know him from high school. He's a big guy. Okay, so he's fat. And the other thing that we have recruiting wise, which Joe talked about, and I just briefly looked at the roster because I was curious if I'm right or wrong. New Jersey used to be a hotbed for UConn.
Oh, okay? It's a huge place.
We do not recruit New Jersey, well at all. Minucci is Don Bosco Prep, one of the three big powerhouses in New Jersey, right?
In the country.
Back there. And I just knowing a lot of those coaches, they haven't felt either loved up or had the opportunity to present their guys to UConn in the way that they should. So now you've got Fran Brown taking some guys from New Jersey because obviously he's a Jersey guy. He's in Syracuse. Obviously Rutgers is. But you get these
Maryland.
Delaware head coach is a Jersey guy. So he's taken a couple, they know the players better in that area. And coupled with it, not that there's a million players from New York City, but there are always a couple of really high-end players from New York City. So New York City's a tough nut to crack. You have to know New York City, just like in basketball. For a long time, Jim Calhoun didn't go in there until he really became a big powerhouse because it's such a tough nut to crack because there's so many different facets to the way New York City works. So from an athletic standpoint, and it's really, really I don't know. It's crazy that I see Minucci just plowing over
running through people,
running through our guys, and I'm like, we probably didn't even recruit Minucci. You know what I mean?
Probably not.
Probably didn't even recruit him. So and it's the same thing with Bergen Catholic, but that was what guys like Tom Jackson, Holtz did a good job of.
Well, I played
Andy really did a great job with that. Getting those guys that PA. And I look at the roster, we have a lot of Ohio kids. We have kids from all these different areas, probably because a lot of them are transfers.
And their third school.
Do they Uconn was always a place that kids from the mid-Atlantic states, when they went up there,
we did the DMV well.
That was a travel place for them. If you a kid like me from New Jersey or you from New York, right? When you went to UConn, you were like, you know what? I'm away. I'm not at my state school, but I'm not so far away. You know what I'm saying? So those are kids that want to come to your school, and we're either having a hard time getting them, or we don't have the relationships. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure, or we don't want them for whatever reason. I don't know why that would be, but we are not recruiting that area. And I just know because I live in New Jersey now, but I live down the shore.
You
and
know
I just
who has a presence.
Nope, nobody comes down.
Yeah.
Donald Brown, RBC, right? Red Bank Catholic. No one comes down to RBC anymore, even though they have all kinds of studs. I don't get it.
No,
I just looked at the roster real quick, Shu, after you mentioned it. I barely see any kids from New Jersey.
There's like 3.
And I think that's all part, to me at least, maybe I'm wrong, but that's all part of the thing with the transfer.
Oh, well, he just fell off. Chris D, you're absolutely right. We are allergic to momentum. We are undisciplined. We claim we take football seriously, and it was an absolute shit show.
I want to go back to the one thing before we go, because I do want to talk more about the defense. If you watch this play, I'm going to bring it up later, the end of the game. By the way, they rushed us. They rushed us the stadium.
I know they did. I know
they rushed Minucci's a hero now. Oh, there he is. But I do want to bring up, I do think Joe accidentally hit the off button there.
No, you know what I did? I had too many screens open. And I hit the wrong.
Oh, he was looking. Yeah.
But to just quickly finish what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because of the transfer portal now, the recruiting is totally. In fact, at one point a couple of years ago, the head football coach said, "I'm not recruiting high school kids anymore." You remember that?
100%. He did say that. He said, "I'm not going to waste my time on high school kids."
Hard to get respect from high school coaches when you say they're not going to recruit their players. That's all. And I'm going to leave it at that.
And you're right.
It becomes a long run problem. They stop so this goes all the way to the whole way people recruit. How do they recruit the transfer kids? Obviously the portal. How do they recruit high school kids? They come up for camps. If the good kids don't come up to your summer camps, your summer one-day camps, and that's over the course of not just 1 year, but freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. It's not
build a relationship.
You build a relationship. If the high school coach says to them, "Don't bother going there," they're not going to even look at you.
Offer you. Yeah.
Now they go to Delaware. Now they go to Rutgers. Now they go to whatever it is, right? Syracuse, right?
Boston College has always been strong in New Jersey.
Absolutely. And they don't change that no matter who the coach is either. That's the big thing.
It's the footprint there.
It's a footprint. So no matter who the head coach is, no matter what his style is, they say, okay, listen, in order for, it's communicated. In order for us to be successful long run with your program, here are some of the states you're going to need, guys, because you're not going to get enough in New England. So that's just how it is. So you got to go to these states. I bet you there's no Rochester up there on our roster anymore. Rochester, where your area, Syracuse, and you'd get pockets of guys from New York. It's not that New York is a football state. It's but the pockets of guys. I just remember from when
Eddie Long,
Monte Nowden, Eddie Long. Yep.
Right.
Eddie Long was from New York?
Rochester. Yeah. So is Monte Nowden.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's been numerous guys. Kozlowski is from Rochester.
That's
Brian
right.
Kozlowski.
Yeah.
That's right.
If I thought about it, there's probably a lot, but
I think there is a lot. I think there has been a lot. But to me, boys, it all goes back to the whole taking players out of the portal. You're not building a team. It's like a baseball team that just builds on free agents, like the Yankees, as opposed to a team like the Red Sox that tries to cultivate through their farm system. Now, I'm a Yankee fan, so I could give a crap what the Red Sox do, but that's the way that they've done it. It's different philosophies. This philosophy is to get 30, 35 players out of a portal each year and try to blend that into a football team. And at some point, I don't think it's sustainable.
I think if you win, and if you're winning, like last year we're winning, right? You have no issues. I think it's when it goes the other way. When you possibly could be good or you possibly could be not good, and it goes in a bad direction. what is their investment in being a Uconn football player? It's only as far as they've been given some money. It's only as far as they've been given some opportunity. There's no investment in the actual play. UConn, there are schools that you could do that really well. Like I think if you're in Texas, right, and you're a coach at Houston, you're probably going to have to balance really well transfers with guys that you're bringing. You're probably going to need more transfers than necessarily a Texas may have a good balance of it. But Houston might need more transfers because of the institution of how it is, right? UConn is a place that people like it when they spend time there. They do better when they spend time there. It's in the middle of nowhere. Even though it's still the Northeast, you think of it as being in the Northeast and it's like, oh, there's people around. No, there's no one out there when you go out there. So when you go out there, when you first come there in your first year, and if something isn't going well, I mean, we've all been, you've probably been there. If it's not going well, you're thinking, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? So as a player, that's why you want those guys, those high school kids who might be invested in the possibility of being there for several years, who will be on campus and start to absorb that whole thing. Versus, I just don't see UConn as being a place that could go 80 transfers, 70 transfers, 60 transfers, and have long-term success, because there are guys. I always remember when Tory Taylor was out of there one semester in, like was gone, like from Florida. He was out of there. He was at the airport, and they had to send people to convince him. And we're calling, and we're all like, Tory, come back, you know. And he comes back, and he stays, and it ends up being one of his. He loved it, right? Yeah. But if you're a transfer portal guy, that's the only thing you know. It's when winter hits. What if you're from Florida? What am I doing here? You know, so those are the things that UConn is an overtime place. You got to spend a couple of years there, and you can really have success. I mean, look, can he win doing it? Sure, he won last year. Maybe he turns it around. I just think, why do you want to live that way? Why do you want to live that crazy environment?
You're living by the skin of your teeth. And Joe, you're 100% right. And I think some of these schools are seeing now that the transfer portal may not be the best way to go. When you're taking 50, 60 guys, we had 50 to 60 transfers this year in the portal, and you're seeing like.
No, I don't think it was that many. I don't think it was that many.
It was. I swear to God, it was.
I think it was in the 35 range or something, because I just looked up, and West Virginia had the most kids coming in from the portal. That was 51. And then Purdue had 30-something. Virginia had 30.
Well, they said that Belichick had 70. That's why I thought it was more. But we didn't bring in that many freshmen. I know that. I think we only brought in 12 this year. I think we have 16 commits for next year.
In North Carolina and West Virginia, it's understandable. It's new coaches. Rich Rod's a new coach. Belichick's
even Ohio State.
They're obviously going to turn over the roster. That's how it's going to be.
Right.
Okay. Because they're going to be like, these guys aren't my guys, whatever, you know, type of thing. So they're going to
look at what Sanders did at Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what Sanders did at first year at Colorado.
Yeah, he brought all the Jackson State guys with him, and then he took transfers.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I think that, like, I'll use a good example. Like, Vanderbilt has done a nice job of balancing it, right? Pavia, obviously, maybe the greatest transfer you could get, period. Getting him from New Mexico State, because he brought it, end up other guys wanting to play with him because this guy was such a dynamic leader. So, and they got some other guys, and they have now a budget that they're paying guys. So they have a balance of these.
And we don't pay freshmen.
They have a balance of kids that now want to come there. They're doing better. But UConn has to, I don't know. I mean, look, the bottom line in this game, though, was the defense and the power read and how we were playing it was just god awful. I mean, we're trying to insert a strong safety to stop the run over and over again, to try and stop the power read, try to stop a quarterback that's 215 pounds coming down, 220 pounds coming downhill with already a 2-3 yard head start, and he's just getting plowed over. So
Yeah.
He's getting plowed over. I mean, over and over again. They're plowing him. You know, so it's a 190-pound guy trying to take on a 200-pound guy. It doesn't matter if he's a better athlete than him. He's got all that momentum coming forward. He's getting an extra 5 yards every single time. And the thing to me about these high school kids that played at big-time high schools, like Don Bosco or Bergen Catholic or St. all these New Jersey powerhouses that are all in the same conference, they play out-of-state teams. They play each other, okay? And we don't get any of them to come to UConn. None of them. I mean, Bergen Catholic. That was Zeke Rogers was from Bergen Catholic. You know, like
Brian Markowski.
Right, he was Paramus Catholic.
Paramus, sorry.
Yeah. But they're all in the same conference. It doesn't matter who wins in that conference. I mean, obviously there are certain ones that are the best, but they all play each other, and they all play out of state, and they all play high level. So when you get them, if they're a second tier kid, meaning they're not the highest of the highest levels, and you get them, those kids are seasoned players. They're actually maybe more valuable to a UConn than they are if they go to Alabama, because at Alabama they can go and choose when they take a first tier guy, they're choosing a guy with tremendous upside, not just his current ability. UConn, we could get a more ready-made guy from one of those schools
who can play.
He may not have, he may not be an Alabama type player, but he will be a phenomenal player at UConn. A guy that goes in to mini camp, you know what I mean, in the NFL. Not quite good enough maybe to make it, but he's a guy that's just so polished that he goes to mini. I mean, it's I don't know. I've seen that trend, and when you're winning, you don't jump against it because you say, hey, okay, they're winning. Who am I to question if you're winning? You know what I mean? If you're winning games. But now, if you start to struggle with certain things, and I see people from the states that they can be getting players from beating them, it's just crazy to me. It's just it's crazy to me.
Well, and the other bottom line of all this is look, it's 3 games. Take the Central game out of the mix because that was a total mismatch. Syracuse game, you're up for 55 minutes until you collapse like a house of cards in the final 5 minutes. This game, you're life and death with an opponent who, if you played them at Pratt and Whitney, you probably beat them by 10, 14 points, right? They had all the emotion. Now, you go over the portion of your schedule where, with the exception of BC, Duke, and perhaps Air Force, it's softer than one-ply toilet paper. So you've set yourself up to where you've got to win either BC or Duke. You've got to win either of those 2 games. You can't lose both those games now, because if you end up 7-5, that's a step backwards, and there's no sugarcoating it or painting it any other way. So the season's not. It's not like the Giants. The season isn't lost after 2 losses, but the problem is there are certain games on the schedule you expected to win, and that game Saturday was one of those, and you let it get away. And that's one thing that they really haven't done over the last year. They won the games they were supposed
to win.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to the fourth quarter.
Well, again, Joe, my issue is, I know you said the players have to execute at some point, but I have always said, put the players in a position to succeed. We run, again, the outside zone to the boundary. I got about 40 text messages about it. Why do we keep running the same play? If they can't execute what you're asking them to, it's this, like I said, whoever has the chalk last, the scheme may look great on paper, but translating it to the field is different. If your players can't do it, don't ask them to. Put them in a position to succeed. What do they do well?
Got 520. They got 521 yards.
Well, I'm talking about defense.
Defense.
All right. The 4th and 2 play at the end, where they could have kicked the first of all, that was a mistake decision. Should have kicked the field goal. And then the play where he pulls it, he fires it out to Hansen. Hansen makes an unbelievable catch, but cannot turn his body forward because the ball is so wide.
Because he throws fastballs and he can't throw on the run.
He threw a fastball to him. It wasn't like they didn't. So he could have pulled it and ran for the 2 yards easily.
That's what I said too.
So
nobody thinks he can run. So no one was at him.
Part of the information that I've been getting is that they don't want him to run unless absolutely.
It looks like it, yeah.
He wants to run. He wants to run. But
okay.
I think he wants to run when necessary. But I don't know. Obviously, he could have easily pulled
Ran
that
for the first down,
lowered his shoulder and got 2 yards.
Yes, there was nobody close to him.
Right, then it looks like a great decision. Then we're not talking about it.
I was okay with the decision to be aggressive like that because they were going up and down the field on us.
You got a field goal kicker who's pretty much.
I would have kicked the field goal, but I was okay with that decision.
Because you want to make it a 6-point game so that Delaware, so the 78, so the 78 49ers have to go to the length of the field and score a touchdown, not just get a field goal. And even though their kid had muffed a field goal before, he's a college Division I kicker. He's not gonna do that. I just think the whole thing was, get up by 6 points. Now maybe it was it was a show that he had no confidence in his defense, right? But still, kick the field goal, go up by 6, and take your shot.
I'm sure that's what he was thinking. I'm sure he was thinking, we got to get this first down and end the game right here because I'm worried they're going to drive right down the field, which is what they did. Which may have gone into his decision, and obviously
he had them with 30-17.
Coach, those things do go into your head. That's why you have assistants to tell you, Coach, come back to earth here. Because as a head coach,
you get the emotion.
You get into those situations. You're like, we're getting our ass kicked on defense. You know what? Like, let's get the first down, end this game. Our offense is rolling. Let's get the first down and end this game. And that's where you need some of the assistants to be like, Coach, let's get the 3 points. You know what I mean? So we're up by a touchdown. They actually have to score and get the extra point to beat us. As versus. Plus, you got a kickoff, right? So if you kick it off in the ball,
he kicks off a touchback every time.
That's another. You either have a touchback, you get it to 20, or if it stays in play, that's 6-7 seconds knocked off the clock.
100%. No,
so there's no negative to kicking the field goal. If for some reason you missed it, the field goal, they still had to drive 80 yards. So it didn't, or whatever it was, 70-something yards. But that was the whole thing with it, and I get it because that's what happens to coaches. You're like, oh, my defense.
You get caught in the moment.
Our defense is playing terrible. They're just going to drive the field. Let's end this game. Get the first down. We take a knee. Well,
the other thing, Mel Brown got injured in the first quarter. Nobody knows his status. He walked off the field, but he didn't come back in.
Yep. So
I hope he's okay. But yeah, I agree. When the game is on the line, when the pressure is there, I don't think we make the best coaching decisions. That's my issue. That's my issue with both sides of the ball, offense and defense.
I think coaching, one of the things, and you probably would agree with this, in coaching, the best thing you could do is not interject coaching. Meaning, when you try to coach the will of to win the game, and you're trying to make the perfect decision.
Yeah.
I've learned, because I've done it as a coach myself in high school for many, I'm smarter than these guys. I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden you get something happens to you because you got too cute. Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
I think the best coach, I've heard Belichick say this. I've heard a lot of guys, Saban say the same thing. When you start to inject your knowledge base as a coach into a situation, that's when sometimes really bad things happen. Instead of just going with, hey, this is the flow of the game, kick the field goal, right? Don't make the decision. This used to be the whole thing with, like, in the beginning with Dan Campbell too, with the Lions. Oh, he's going for fourth. Who cares if we don't make it in the 4th and 1? We're building this attitude. I'm like, yeah, all right. That works for a year or so. And they got to the championship. But what happens when you start to make those decisions and it costs you games? Then everyone turns on you very, very quickly as being a bad decision maker as a coach. So the best decision to make is to make the obvious decision most of the time. And then there's rare instances when you do take that shot. You do take that shot. You say, this isn't, that was not the instance to me. That was not the instance to do that there. There are instances when you got to do it, but that was not the instance because you go up 6. Now it's now
with a minute left.
The 3rd and 9. Okay. He is not thinking, okay, I just need to get the first down so we get close enough to kick a field goal. He's thinking, I got to get the first down. We got to get to the line and we got to run another play because we're running out of time. That's a very different thought process for a quarterback and how well he throws versus
when you got to score a touchdown.
Man, I mean, look at the Cowboys and the Giants game.
Oh,
the Cowboys didn't even have to go anywhere. Their whole instance in that game,
64-yard field,
just get themselves close enough that this kicker is going to put it through. I mean, amazing. Right. Their kicker is like insanely 64 good.
64 yards.
I mean, he's great. I mean, they're all great now. It's unbelievable what these guys can do kicking wise. It's mind blowing to me. They all can kick 60-yarders. It's crazy, but he, they just get him close enough.
Yeah.
So they let the guy the lower risk the 64-yard field goal in that case was the lower risk play. So so I mean they just get them in the switch. I think that's what we just need to do. Like we don't need to overcoach some of these things, and maybe that goes to your point with defense too. Like
that's we try to do everything
on defense with the blitzing and stuff.
All that happy
and
shit.
Maybe we're overcoaching it, right?
We play we try to do every blitz, every coverage known to man. When you have to rep everything to get good at 2 coverages.
The trap you get into when you're trying to turn a program around, which he did, and he was turning around. The things that you do to turn around the program, like blitzing, like going for it on 4th down. Once you get there, it's not the same decision process. Now you have to create stability with it, right? But when you stink, okay, you are trying anything and everything
absolutely
to get the mindset of the players in the direction to be successful. Once you turn it, which he has, now it has to go into the best decision possible, not the decision that gets our players to rally all the time. It's the best decision possible. That's a transition. Moore had an issue with that at UCLA.
I know.
He turned it at UCLA. He got him in the right direction. They were doing great. And it's the same thing. You don't always have to be the innovator. It's hard. It's hard for coaches who are innovators. That's the hard thing. You don't always have to innovate once you get there. Leach said a great thing in his book about when he was at Texas Tech. Have you read Swing? He talked about he was running the air raid, and obviously he's in he has this innovative offense, and at the time especially, he said it wasn't until he got Ruffin McNeil, and he didn't know it because he always just thought I'll outscore guys. When he got Ruffin McNeil as his DC,
the big dude
realized that he could just coach the game and make the best decision possible versus trying to out-coach the other guy all the time. Yeah. Because Ruffin McNeil brought a stable, great defense to Texas Tech. And that's an important point.
Joe, the other thing I thought Delaware's skill guys, I thought they were better than ours. I thought they had really good receivers. I thought the running backs and quarterbacks were good.
I'm not going to go that far. I think they had a great game. I think that I wouldn't demean our skill guys by any stretch.
I'm not demeaning them. I mean, I was just
but I did no. Let's not. Again, let's not. Delaware won the game, but I don't want to turn them into the 85 Bears.
Do we have a plethora of riches on offense that it makes it confusing for them relative to Delaware, relative to the teams we play? Meaning you got 3 giant tight ends or whatever, and you
We
got
the tight ends are the
receivers,
good.
you got a running back.
The receivers looked okay, but when Mel Brown went down, Cam had to carry the load. They put the freshman from Sweden in.
He did carry the load.
No, I know. I love Cam. I love Cam. That's why I think the running backs and the tight ends are the 2 best positions on offense. Figiano played great. I mean, that's the best I've seen him play. Our receivers were good. You're like, it wasn't all on the offense. The defense, I just had a problem with because I think he sends pressure at the wrong time. I think he tries to play way too many coverages. I think he tries to be too cute and do happy shit. And Joe, that's what I think cost him the game.
Well, I could see that. I mean, that's you're not whistling in the breeze there. I think, when you lose a game like that to that team, again, not to diminish Delaware, but again, it's a team that's just starting off on this FBS journey. It's just things went wrong. And now, we had said after the game at Syracuse, well, let's see how they make corrections.
Respond.
Well, the offensive corrections were fine. The defensive corrections were invisible.
No, they did the same stuff. Again,
I'm curious your thoughts of this. I don't know why we have to have labels on FBS, FCS, because everything seems to just keep moving back around to the old Yankee Conference moving.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Joe said that. Joe said there's no point in being FBS.
We got Delaware, we have Uconn, we have UMass, they're all Division I.
Exactly.
But Joe said that.
Rhode Island and Maine and a few of them to. And then
Joe, you said that. You said there's no point in being FCS. You said because of the money.
Because you might as well just write it. You might as well just hand money out if you're in FCS. So why don't look at New Haven? University of New Haven when FBS, they're going to be somebody's whipping boy for years, but they're not going to be, but it's just a different. When you go FBS, the biggest area of difference is in money that you can bring in from donors. People are not willing to donate to, or less willing to, unless they have a real connection with the school. You're not going to get, Peter Wirths or people like that who have donated a crap load of money to our school, right? You're not going to get a bunch of people. You're not going to get 100 people like that. So, and it also goes towards the quality of life for the everyday students.
Yeah.
You're building more endowments. You're able to bring in more students, maybe a better cross section of students. It all comes down to that. But I just don't, when Lou Perkins made the decision to go big time college football, it was a perfect time for UConn because they had gotten successful at the 1AA level, but you don't make any money. The trip to Georgia Southern cost them in the 1AA playoffs cost them a boatload of money.
100%. 100% it did.
Georgia Southern's also FBS now, right? And
right,
yes, they are.
Right.
All those schools are now have kind of, a lot of those schools have moved up because exactly what Joe. Actually, Lou was such an innovator because
I love Lou.
UConn we were hit or miss. We had some great years. We had some okay years. And he took us to Division I before all those other schools did, which really gave us a little bit of an advantage. Obviously,
big advantage. Yeah, I think big advantage.
Yep.
But, I had been there when we were 1A. We lost to Northeastern. We lost to Rhode Island. And like this, I mean, at least it was FBS, but it's still their first home game. Where do you think we go from here? Do we respond this week against Ball State?
Well, it's home. You better hope so.
Yeah.
You better hope you respond.
Yeah.
You lose and again, I think they will. I don't have any reason to think that this is the start of some, brutal 2-10 season. No, I don't think that at all. I don't think that at all. But I would also say this. I would think they have the attention of the players when they get back to the practice field tomorrow.
Yeah, they have very little margin for error now.
Well, look,
You're right, because you can't go 7-5.
Well, but if UConn go 7-5, they're still going to go to a bowl game.
Yes, but like you said, it's a step back.
Of course it is. You were 9-3, and everybody was talking, and we were talking.
Undefeated.
You had him 12-0. You had him 12-0 at one point.
Yep.
How'd that work out?
I did.
I was dead wrong. I saw the. I was looking at the shorts of me saying that. I'm like, boy, am I an idiot.
Well, with the schedule, we thought that Syracuse would be the one loss for sure. Yeah, but we didn't.
And it should have been a win.
Yeah, both of them should have been.
I mean, look, they could easily be 3-0 by now.
Yeah,
and all this, and the past 53 minutes of conversation would have been totally changed. But you don't play the games on paper. They lost 2 games in overtime. One was much worse than the other one. I think even though they blew that 11-point lead with 5 minutes to go, it was at Syracuse. This was at Delaware. Again, first game at home, first FBS opponent coming to their building in 30-something years.
Yeah,
36 years. And again, as I think Shu and I both said, that was a very engaged crowd on Saturday.
It was. They were wild.
People, they love their football at Delaware. They never take it. They never take it as a secondary thing. That's their primary. That's their go-to sport is football. So we'll see how they do against Ball State. I mean, I know nothing about Ball State. I'll bone up by Friday. But I think it's incumbent. Look, it's all upon the defense this week. To think the offense can't score 30 points without knowing anything against Ball State.
They're scoring 30, yeah.
Yeah, they're scoring 30, 31, 34 points. But it's all incumbent on the defense to make stops. And if it's 34-7, then we're going to say they responded. If it's 38-34, then we're going to say, Houston, we have a problem.
I just hope personnel-wise. I mean, I hope schematically they make adjustments, but I think Joe's right. It's a bigger problem because of the personnel that we've taken. And you're right. We've taken transfers that are on their third schools, some of them. And we've taken guys who are from just big schools that didn't play. So you're right. It's a crapshoot. And
the boy from Notre Dame didn't start the other day.
Hi Chan didn't start. Well, no. That's probably why we got beat up front.
Well, but he might be hurt. I mean, he might be hurt. You never find these things out.
We got sacked on the last play of the game. Fourth and goal from the 2 in overtime. The right tackle got destroyed, and we got sacked. That was the other thing. I really thought we were sloppy up front too. They pushed us around on offense, and defensively they made plays when they had to. Yes,
hey, at least we didn't have anybody. We didn't have an offensive tackle get 4 penalties in one series.
Oh,
that may have been the worst series ever by an offensive lineman in NFL history.
Why was he so angry after too? Why was he like? There were.
I
guess he was pissed at himself and whatever.
They were trying to calm him down, I guess, or something.
Yeah. Try calm him down. I would have taken him out and walked him out the entrance and said, "Here's the bus. Wait for us to get there."
That may be coming. That's what one beauty of the NFL. If something crazy happens like that, there's usually an exit sign. Someone else could rehab you on another team.
I was texting one of my friends, one of my close friends who's a big Giant fan. I said, "So what was worse? 4 penalties by one player in the opening series of the game, or 3 penalties on one play, and you didn't even have to get any yardage because it was offsetting." They had a play in the second quarter where they had 3 defensive penalties, and it was offsetting because Dallas committed a penalty.
Oh, that game. I cried this weekend between Uconn and the Giants because Russell Wilson finally played okay until he threw that pop fly in overtime for an interception. And then we don't make plays in the critical situations. Although I still thought that 4th down pass interference call on us was BS.
Is Dable the answer for the Giants?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think
They need Thomas back.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
And the other thing that works against them is the schedule. Now you got Kansas City
awful.
coming in at 0-2. How's that going to work out?
That's not going to be good.
Right? How pretty is that going to be in the home opener? Natives will be restless by the end of the second quarter.
Well, Dayball's on his last legs as it is after Daniel Jones's resurgence, and they let
Daniel Jones has better pieces to work with in Indianapolis than he did with the Giants.
I know, that's my point. I it's a whole different conversation, but I think the NFL gives up on quarterbacks way too fast. Now Daniel Jones
absolutely
had years,
yeah,
but he didn't have anything around him, and he was hurt a lot because we asked him to do certain things. But I loved him, and I'm happy that he's doing well.
Yeah, I am too. And look, he had Barkley. When Barkley was healthy, it was a pretty good 1-2 combination.
Absolutely.
The year they went to the playoffs. But, the way they let Barkley go will haunt them
forever.
On national TV. On national TV. Hey, Saquon, we're not going to be an
quarterback. The psyche of the quarterback with the head coach, you can't undervalue those two having one believing in the other. And
your team.
It doesn't work if a head coach is already
you're married to your quarterback.
The bag on that guy. Forget it. He's not playing well.
No, you're married to your quarterback.
No,
and that's the same. That's the same thing here with Evers. He's got 1 year of eligibility left after this year. So in theory, you would want him invested. You would want to continue to work with him because Joe's not going to get a 9th year of eligibility. You're going to need someone.
Remember what I said a year ago when he became the what they should have done with him? They should have brought in an outside guy.
Yeah, the Shane
to go work with him in the whole offseason.
Yep.
Okay.
A quarterback guy.
Work with him directly and have him up there and take some of that NIL money and give it to some one of these elite quarterback coaches and say, even if he's not the starter next year, we need him improved. And they spend the whole offseason with him, and then he would have came back a lot better, but they did not. And that to me is ridiculous because these outside, all these guys go to outside people.
Yeah.
They all have them in the offseason, and they didn't do it with all of them have it. They all have it.
They do. They all have their own personal.
They all go to a guy in the offseason. In Texas, they don't have to go far because they could just drive to the 4 or 5 guys that do a good job with that stuff. But like in the Northeast, you're probably gonna have to bring them up there. You know what I mean? Because how many of them are there? And I think that has to happen because you can't in college. They don't allow you to work with your guy.
Well, they do now.
They do.
Yeah, in the summer, the coaches can work with them on the field.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm talking about the down periods when
there really aren't any anymore. There's
season ends. As soon as the season ends in January, you go January all the way to what?
Well, January you have winter workouts.
All the way to spring ball. You got 3 months, 2.5 months.
Yeah, but in the summer now, the coaches can work with the players.
Right. Then you go May to the beginning of I guess the first. Yeah.
That's the thing. There's no downtime in college football.
I think they should bring a guy because
I agree.
Tom Brady's talked about is exposing some of these things, and I think Tom Brady's right on a lot of this stuff.
Well, he
believes that a lot of the guys that are either head coaches or offensive coordinators or even quarterback coaches don't know how to develop the position in the player.
No,
it's not, especially in college.
Yeah.
He said that it's not that they aren't good coaches, is that they don't know how to develop the specific position and the tools with that. That's a big deal.
Well, you're right. And I think that's why a lot of these rookie quarterbacks get drafted high and they fail because they're set up to fail and they go to bad teams. And you're right. They don't have the skill set.
You got to go to a guy.
No, I agree.
You got to go to, even if, you tell them what you need him to work on. You got to go to a guy because That makes all the difference. If you want to be the best, if you want your team to be the best, Dylan Raiola goes to Jeff Christensen in Texas.
Jeff Christensen.
Patrick Mahomes goes to Jeff Christensen in Texas. Yep. But there's other guys, but Jeff is one of the best. But like you have different guys. They spend their time with them fixing the problem,
fixing the mechanics,
fixing the problems,
watching film.
It's not about changing the mechanics; it's fixing the problems.
Right.
That's the issue, and certain guys know how to do that. I think that has to happen. Anyway, I'm sorry. I took too much. We took Joe's time too much. Joe, do you have any last thoughts on this?
I don't know, Steve. I want to check. I don't think you can. These coaches can't work with the kids 24/7, 12 months a year.
No, it's still the same 10 hours a week. But the coaches can do position work with them now.
During the summer?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
100%.
I'm looking it up.
I know that 100%.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why Joe V left. One of the big reasons.
Yeah, it says they can conduct position work and skill-related instruction.
Yeah.
And it's strictly regulated with limits on both time and Well, that's the other thing.
It's still the 10
limited
hours
on time, right?
Right. It's 10 hours a week still. But
that's yes. But what are they working on? They're working on their plays.
Yeah, but you're working on the things out there working with them.
I know, but it's the individual. I just think the individual development.
I agree.
Is a big deal, and not necessarily within your system. Okay. Yes, there are tools that related to your system, but there are certain things that have. And quarterback is as big as it's like. Just listen, you bet your bottom. You think the kickers are working with the special teams coordinator on their
own coach
who doesn't know anything other than he knows scheme. He doesn't know how to specifically make you kick better. I mean, think about it. If they made you the special teams coordinator at Holy Cross.
I specifically said I am not.
What I'm saying, all of a sudden they say, Steve, we need you to do it. Well, Steve knows how to line them up scheme wise.
Yeah,
are you going to go coach the kicker?
Steve's getting punch blocked if that ever happened.
All right, boys. Let's do this again on Friday. I'm done.
You got it. All right, we'll see you later.
Well, remember, we definitely got lemons. Don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them back in life.